You are living a script written by people you don't even like. Every day, you put on a mask. You measure your words to avoid cancellation. You curate your life to fit into a mold that was designed to keep you quiet, predictable, and profitable. You are so afraid of being judged by the crowd that you have become a ghost in your own life, hiding your truth to earn the permission of people who don't even know who they are. This modern social conformity is a prison with invisible bars. You feel the itch of the fake smile. You feel the weight of the empty word. You are performing for an audience that is too busy performing for you to even notice. But 2,400 years ago, there was a man who burned the script. Diogenes of Sinope didn't want your respect, your money, or your status. He lived in a ceramic barrel in the marketplace of Athens, owned nothing but a cloak and a staff, and famously told Alexander the Great, the most powerful man on earth, to get out of his sunlight. He was a cynic, a word derived from the Greek for dog-like, because he lived with the raw, honest simplicity of an animal in accord with nature. He was the original heretic. He didn't just ignore the fake values of society, he mocked them. He showed that when you stop looking for permission to exist, you find a strength that no king can take away. As the way of the cynic teaches, most people are living a script written by someone they don't even like. Diogenes lived in a barrel and told kings to get out of his sunlight. Be a heretic to a culture that rewards fake smiles and empty words. Strength is found when you stop looking for permission to exist. If your truth offends the weak, let them be offended. Your life is not a performance for the crowd. If you are tired of the performance, if you are bored of the correct opinions, and if you are ready to reclaim your raw humanity, welcome. You aren't socially awkward. You are socially awakened. Welcome back to Hypothetics. Today, we break the mold. This is Rebel Heretics, the 20 quotes of Rebel Heretics. Quote 1, I am a citizen of the world. Diogenes. We are conditioned to find our identity in tribes, nationalities, political parties, and social cliques. These are just smaller cages designed to keep your loyalty local and your mind small. The cynic rejects the borders of the mind. By belonging to everything, you belong to nothing and no one. True freedom is the refusal to let a flag or a label define your worth. Quote 2, he has the most who is most content with the least. Diogenes. The system keeps you in line by making you dependent on comforts. If you need the latest tech, the designer clothes, or the expensive house, you are easy to control. A man who can be happy with a bowl of water and a piece of bread is a threat to every tyrant. When you subtract your needs, you add to your power. Contentment is the ultimate weapon of the rebel. Quote 3, of what use is a philosopher who doesn't hurt anybody's feelings? Diogenes' truth is not polite. In a culture built on lies, the truth will always feel like an attack. If you are terrified of offending people, you will never say anything worth hearing. The cynic uses offense as a tool to crack the masks of the people around him. If your honesty hurts someone's feelings, it's usually because their feelings were built on a lie. Quote 4, I am looking for a man. Diogenes famously walked through Athens with a lamp in broad daylight, looking for an honest man. He found only crowds of performers. Modern life is a sea of characters, but very few humans. To be a man, in the cynic sense, is to be authentic, raw, and unvarnished. Stop trying to be someone and start trying to be real. The world has enough actors. It needs a human. Quote 5. Stand out of my sunlight. Diogenes. When Alexander the Great offered to grant Diogenes any wish, this was his only request. It is the ultimate statement of self-sovereignty. The world's greats, the celebrities, the billionaires, the influencers, cannot give you anything of actual value. All they can do is block the light that has already fallen on you. Reclaim your space. You don't need their favors. You just need them to move. Quote 6. Dogs and philosophers do the greatest good and get the fewest rewards. Diogenes. A dog doesn't bark for a paycheck. It barks because it sees a stranger. The cynic tells the truth because it is his nature, not because it's profitable. If you are waiting for a reward for your integrity, you are still playing the crowd's game. The reward of the heretic is the integrity itself. You don't need a medal when you have a clear conscience. Quote 7. Blush is the color of virtue. Diogenes. In a shameless society, the ability to feel shame at one's own shortcomings is a superpower. But do not confuse this with social embarrassment. The cynic blushes when he fails his own standards, not when he fails society's. When you stop caring about social embarrassment, you become unshakable. The only opinion that should make you blush is the one you see in the mirror. Quote 8. It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little. Diogenes' desire is a leash. Every time you want something from the world, you give the world permission to pull you. The cynic seeks to become godlike by severing the leashes. When you want nothing, you are the most powerful person in the room because you cannot be bribed, threatened, or seduced. Quote 9. The sun too shines into cesspools and is not polluted. Diogenes' people fear cancellation because they fear being associated with the wrong things. They are afraid the world's dirt will rub off on them. But if your truth is like the sun, you can walk through the darkest parts of society and remain pure. You don't need to hide from the world. You just need to be bright enough that the world cannot change your frequency. Quote 10. Discourse on virtue, and they pass by in droves, whistle and dance, and you have an audience. Diogenes, the crowd is naturally drawn to the trivial and the shallow. If you want to be popular, be vapid. But if you want to be a heretic, accept the silence. Do not judge your worth by the size of your audience. The cynic knows that a crowd is usually a sign that something is wrong. Truth is a solo journey. Quote 11. Wise leaders generally have wise counselors because it takes a wise man itself to distinguish them. Diogenes, stop taking advice from people who are just as trapped as you are. Most experts are just people who have mastered the rules of the cage. A heretic seeks out the voices that sound like a threat to the status quo. If everyone agrees with your mentor isn't teaching you how to be free. They are teaching you how to be a better slave. Quote 12. The vine bears 3 kinds of grapes, the first of pleasure, the second of intoxication, the third of disgust. Anacharsis, cynic influence. Everything the world offers you follows this cycle. The like, the thrill, the purchase, It feels good, then it numbs you, then it leaves you feeling sick. The cynic skips the vine entirely. By refusing to chase the pleasure, you avoid the intoxication and the eventual disgust. True peace is found in sobriety of the soul. Quote 13. Other dogs bite their enemies. I bite my friends to save them. Diogenes, a heretic's honesty can feel like a bite. It's sharp, it's sudden, and it leaves a mark. But the cynic bites because he sees his friends sleepwalking through a fake life. If you have friends who only tell you what you want to hear, you have enemies. A true friend is the one who is willing to be hated for telling you the truth. Quote 14. Why not whip the teacher when the pupil misbehaves? Diogenes, we are the products of our environment until we decide not to be. We blame ourselves for our anxieties and our failures, but we forget that we were taught to be this way by a broken culture. The heretic stops punishing himself and starts questioning the teachers. Once you see the flaws in the system, you stop letting the system define your failure. Quote 15. I am a hound of the sort that all men praise, but no one has the courage to go hunting with. Diogenes people love the idea of a rebel. They watch movies about them and buy shirts with their faces on them, but they don't want to be them. Being a heretic is lonely because it requires a level of courage that most people simply don't have. They will praise your authenticity from a distance, but they will never join you in the barrel. Quote 16. In a rich man's house, there is no place to spit but his face. Diogenes' success is an insult to nature. When you see someone obsessed with luxury and status, you're looking at someone who has lost their human function. The cynic has no respect for wealth that isn't earned through character. Don't be impressed by the house. Be impressed by the man. If the man is empty, the house is just a fancy coffin. Quote 17. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth. Diogenes, the education you received was a manual on how to fit in. It was a training program for your mask. To be a heretic, you must begin the process of unlearning. You must scrape away the correct opinions and the socially acceptable desires to find the raw, honest human underneath. Quote 18. Nature has given men one tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. Epictetus, cynic leanings. The heretic listens to the world, not to follow it, but to understand its lies. When you listen more than you speak, you see the contradictions in the crowd. You hear the fear behind the fake smiles. Silence allows you to observe the script before you decide to tear it up. Quote 19. I threw my cup away when I saw a child drinking from his hands at the trough. Diogenes, every tool you need is a potential shackle. The more you can do with your own bare hands and your own raw mind, the freer you are. The cynic is always looking for ways to simplify. If a child can do it without the gadget, so can you. The ultimate rebellion is being impossible to sell to. Quote 20. To be self-taught is to be truly taught. Cynic proverb. The world can give you information, but only you can give yourself wisdom. A heretic doesn't wait for a degree or a certification to tell the truth. You are the only authority on your own life. When you stop looking for external validation, you become the master of your own reality. The way of the cynic is not for everyone. It is for the person who is tired of the performance. It is for the person who would rather be a dog in the sun than a king in a cage. Being a heretic is not about being angry, it's about being honest. It's about realizing that the crowd's permission is a currency that has no value in the real world. If you are ready to stop performing and start existing, if you're ready to tell the world to get out of your sunlight, leave a comment with the words, "Citizen of the World," to show you've broken the script. Stay disciplined. Stay raw. This is Hypothetics. You are successful on paper, but dead inside. You've checked all the boxes. You've chased the promotion, the paycheck, and the professional status that the world told you was the destination. But now that you're there, you feel more exhausted than when you started. This isn't just physical tiredness. It is functional burnout. It is the hollow realization that you've been running on a fuel source that was never meant for your engine. Disappointment is often the universe's most brutal act of mercy. It strips away the false goals you chased for ego and status, leaving you standing in the wreckage of a life you thought you wanted. Most people spend their energy trying to glue the broken pieces back together, trying to return to the old them. But the ancients knew that the collapse is where the truth begins. In Japan, they call the core of this truth Ikigai, your reason for being. It isn't a grand, distant mission. It is the spark at the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, and what the world actually needs. When your world falls apart, don't look for a way back. Look for the spark that refuses to go out in the rubble. That spark is your energetics. As the wisdom of Ikigai teaches, you feel exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too little of what makes you come alive. Disappointment is the universe's way of stripping away the false goals you chased for status, leaving only the raw core of your Ikigai. When your world falls apart, don't look for a way back to the old you. Look for the spark that refuses to go out in the wreckage. That spark is your reason for being. Feed it until it becomes a wildfire. Welcome back to Hypothetics. Today, we stop surviving and start flourishing. This is Purpose Energetics. The 20 quotes of Purpose Energetics. Quote 1, only staying active will make you want to live 100 years. Japanese proverb burnout isn't caused by doing too much. It's caused by stagnant, meaningless action. When you are aligned with your Ikigai, the work itself is the recharge. The energy doesn't come from the finish line, it comes from the movement. If you feel dead, it's because you stopped moving toward what actually matters. Flowing water never goes stale, but a stagnant pond breeds rot. Quote 2, our life is the creation of our mind. The Buddha. If you believe your purpose is to satisfy your boss or your bank account, your mind will build a prison of anxiety. If you believe your purpose is to hone your craft and serve your nature, your mind builds an engine. Your reality is the direct output of your why. Change the internal blueprint, and the external weight becomes weightless. Quote 3. A man is a success if he gets up in the morning and gets to bed at night, and in between, he does what he wants to do. Bob Dylan. Success is not a vertical climb up a corporate ladder. It is a horizontal alignment with your soul. If the hours between your waking and your sleeping are spent in a false function, you are failing, no matter how much you are paid. Purpose is the luxury of being yourself in a world that wants you to be a copy. Quote 4. The soul is healed by being with children. Fyodor Dostoevsky. One of the pillars of Ikigai is connecting with the small. We get burnt out because we focus only on big success, the $1 million, the massive house. But true purpose is often found in the small daily rituals, the smile of a child, the taste of tea, the precision of a single task. Heal your soul by shrinking your world until it fits in your hands. Quote 5. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Japanese proverb. Disappointment is a kinetic test of your energy. If your purpose was fake, driven by ego or status, the first major fall will kill it. But if your purpose is your Ikigai, every fall only adds to your momentum. The stand-up is where the energy is generated. You don't lose energy by failing, you lose it by staying down. Quote 6. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Friedrich Nietzsche. Functional burnout happens when the how is heavy and the why is missing. When you're just grinding for the sake of the grind, the load will eventually crush you. But when the why is your core reason for being, you can carry a mountain. You don't need a lighter load, you need a deeper reason for carrying it. Quote 7. The secret of a long life is to stay busy. Okinawan. Saying. In the blue zones of Japan, there is no word for retirement. Why would you retire from being yourself? Why would you stop doing what makes you come alive? Purpose energetics is the refusal to become stagnant. As long as you have a function, you have a flame that keeps the cold of age and depression at bay. Quote 8. The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists. Japanese proverb. Burnout is the sound of an oak tree snapping under the pressure of its own rigidity. You are trying to force a version of success that doesn't fit your nature. Ikigai is the flexibility to adapt. When the world changes or disappointment strikes, the purposeful man bends his path, but never his spark. Quote 9. Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the men of old. Seek what they sought. Matsuo Basho. Don't copy the hacks or the daily routines of successful people. Copy their hunger. They didn't find success by following a map. They found it by following their own internal heat. Your Ikigai is unique to your DNA. Trying to live someone else's purpose will only lead you into their burnout. Quote 10. Happiness is always the byproduct of a life well lived. Aristotle. Stop chasing the glow of happiness and start building the fire of function. If you focus on the feeling of happiness, it will dodge you like a shadow. But if you focus on the excellence of your function, your arete, the glow will appear on its own. Happiness is not the goal, it is the evidence that you are aligned. Quote 11. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's, there are few. Shunryu Suzuki. Burnout is often the result of expert stagnation. You think you know it all, so the work becomes a chore. Ikigai requires the beginner's mind, the constant curiosity that keeps the energy fresh. If you want to stay alive inside, never stop being a student of your own craft. Quote 12. The warrior who is truly free is the one who loves his duty. Ancient samurai adage. If you hate your work, you are a slave, no matter how high your salary is. If you love your duty, you are a king. Purpose. Energetics is the transformation of have to into get to. When you align your work with what the world needs and what you love, you're no longer working. You are participating in your own destiny. Quote 13. Your work is to discover your world and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. The Buddha. The first half of life is discovery, the messy, often disappointing process of finding your Ikigai. The second half is energetics, giving everything to it. If you are currently in a state of disappointment, realize that you just haven't found the right world yet. Don't stop searching. Quote 14. The water which is too pure has no fish. Zen proverb. Don't wait for perfect conditions to start living your purpose. The mess, the struggle, and the disappointment are the nutrients for your Ikigai. Life is not lived in a clean laboratory. It is lived in the mud of the daily work. The fish of your potential needs the nutrients of the struggle to survive. Quote 15. To know and not to do is not yet to know. Zen proverb. Burnout is often the gap between what you know you should be doing and what you are actually doing. This friction generates a heat that burns you out rather than fuels you. Close the gap. If you know your purpose, start doing it today, even if it's in the smallest way possible. Purpose, energetics, is not about finding a job. It is about finding the fuel that makes the struggle worth it. It is the recognition that every disappointment you faced was just a purification process, burning away the things that didn't matter so you could finally see the spark that does. If you are feeling the weight of functional burnout today, remember, you aren't being crushed. You are being redirected toward your own reason for being. Don't look for a way back to the person you were before the collapse. Look for the version of you that refuses to go out. If you are ready to feed your spark, leave a comment with the words, "Feed the spark," to show you found your engine. Stay disciplined. This is Hypothetics. You're tired of the hacks. You're tired of the 30-day challenges and the overnight success stories that leave you feeling like a failure when you wake up on day 31 and nothing has changed. You feel broken because you're still in the struggle. You feel like you're drifting because the results haven't caught up to your effort yet. But what if I told you that this gap, this uncomfortable space between your work and your reward, is exactly where greatness is born? You know the word Kung Fu. You've seen the movies, you've seen the fights, but you've been lied to about what it actually means. In its true ancient form, Gong Fu has nothing to do with combat. It is a word that describes a person who has mastered a skill through nothing but time and relentless work. It is the art of becoming unbreakable by staying in the fire longer than anyone else is willing to. To understand this, we need to listen to those who lived it. In this video, we are looking at quotes from the true masters, philosophers, warriors, and practitioners who didn't just teach Kung Fu as a way to fight, but as a way to exist. These are the voices of those who realize that mastery is not a destination, but a state of being. If you are currently disappointed, if you feel like you're moving too slow, or if you feel like the world is pushing back against you, welcome. You aren't failing. You are simply in the gong, the work. You are currently building the kinetic energy required for mastery. Welcome back to Hypothetics. Today, we stop looking for the exit and start looking for the depth. This is Mastery Kinetics. The 20 quotes of Mastery Kinetics. Quote 1. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee. This is the purest definition of Gong Fu. It is not about variety or flashy gimmicks. It is about the terrifying power of repetition. Mastery is found in the boredom of doing the same thing until it becomes a part of your DNA. Quote 2. 1,000 days to forge, 10,000 days to polish. Miyamoto Musashi. Most people quit during the forging process because they hate the heat of the fire. But the warrior knows that after the shape is formed, the real work begins in the silence of the polish. Gong Fu is the patience to stay with the blade until it reflects the soul. Quote 3. The more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war. Shaolin proverb. Disappointment in reality is often a sign of laziness in preparation. Gong Fu is the quiet sweat that no one sees, so that when the world finally tests you, you are already immovable. Your struggle today is the currency you are paying to avoid a catastrophe tomorrow. Quote 4. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. Lao Tzu. We often look for Gong Fu to control the world around us, but its true purpose is to control the world within. The kinetics of mastery begin when you stop trying to win arguments and start trying to win the battle against your own impulses. True power is the silence of a self-governed mind. Quote 5. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Confucius. The modern world demands speed, but Gong Fu demands depth. A slow, steady drip of water can eventually split a mountain, while a flash flood leaves nothing behind. Your progress isn't measured by your velocity, but by your refusal to be stagnant. Quote 6. If you want to know the taste of the water, you must drink it. Ip Man. You cannot think your way to Gong Fu. You cannot watch enough videos or read enough books to acquire it. Mastery is a kinetic experience. It requires you to get your hands dirty and taste the bitterness of the struggle for yourself. Quote 7. Persistence is the path to victory. Even a dull knife, if used long enough, will eventually cut through the hardest stone. Zunzi. You may feel like a dull knife today, lacking talent, resources, or luck. But the kinetic energy of persistence creates its own sharpness. If you refuse to be put away, the stone of your circumstances will eventually yield to your edge. Quote 8. To reach the perfection of the art, one must be empty. One must let go of the result and focus on the breath. Bodhidharma. Your disappointment comes from being too attached to the gold medal and not enough to the movement. Gong Fu is the ability to work without the constant need for a pat on the back. When you become empty of ego, you become full of capability. Quote 9. The warrior does not seek the fight, but he is always ready for it. Preparation is the highest form of respect for one's life. Gichin Funakoshi. Living without Gong Fu is a sign of disrespect to your potential. When you treat your daily habits with the seriousness of a warrior preparing for battle, you transform your life into a masterpiece. Being ready is a state of mind that disappointment cannot penetrate. Quote 10. One does not practice to become a master. One practices because they are a master. The practice is the reward. Morihei Ueshiba. If you are waiting for the day you arrive, you will always be frustrated. The kinetic secret of Gong Fu is realizing that the act of practicing is the arrival. You are a master the moment you choose to never stop training. Quote 11. The mountain does not bow to the wind, regardless of how hard it blows. Be the mountain. Zen proverb. Disappointment is just wind. It is temporary, loud, and ultimately empty. Your Gong Fu is the stone and root that keeps you anchored. Let the world scream and push. Your job is to remain a silent, towering presence. Quote 12. Study strategy over the years and achieve the spirit of the warrior. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Miyamoto Musashi. Your only competition is the person you were 24 hours ago. If you are 1% more disciplined today, you have won. Gong Fu is the compound interest of self-improvement, and time is your greatest ally. Quote 13. Greatness is not a destination. It is the ability to endure the mundane with the same intensity as the spectacular. Shaolin teaching. We all want the spectacular moments of success, but Gong Fu is found in the mundane. The way you make your bed, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you handle a boring Tuesday determines your height. The spectacular is just the visible tip of a massive, mundane iceberg. Quote 14. The mind is like water. When it is turbulent, it is difficult to see. When it is calm, everything becomes clear. Prasad Mahes. Turbulence is the modern condition, anxiety, noise, and constant distraction. Gong Fu is the mental kinetics required to stay still while the world spins. Clarity is a weapon that only the disciplined can wield. Quote 15. He who can endure the unendurable is the one who truly knows the way. Ancient Chinese proverb. There will be days when the weight feels too heavy and the path feels too dark. This is the unendurable moment where most people turn back. If you can take one more step when you're certain you can't, you have achieved Gong Fu. Quote 16. Do not focus on the outcome of the battle, but on the precision of the strike. Sun Tzu. You cannot control if you win, but you can control the quality of your effort. When you stop obsessing over the finish line and start obsessing over the kinetics of the moment, you become unbeatable. Precision is the byproduct of total presence. Quote 17. A bowl is most useful when it is empty. A mind is most powerful when it is willing to learn. Bruce Lee. The moment you think you know everything, your Gong Fu begins to rot. A true master is a perpetual student who views every disappointment as a new lesson. Stay empty, stay hungry, and you will never stop growing. Quote 18, true strength is not in the muscles, but in the will that moves them. Jigoro Kano. Your body will fail you, your circumstances will fail you, and your luck will run out. But the will is the engine of Gong Fu. It is the invisible force that tells the tired body to stand up one more time. Quote 19. The shadow of the master is longer than the reach of the amateur. He sees what is coming because he has been there before. Old martial arts adage experience is the fruit of Gong Fu. By staying in the struggle longer than others, you develop a vision that the amateur lacks. Your past disappointments are actually the data points you need to predict your future victories. Quote 20. Work hard in silence. Let your success be your noise. Anonymous Master Gong Fu is a private affair. It is a dialogue between you and your potential that requires no audience. Stop telling the world what you are going to do and start showing them what you have become through the silence of your work. Mastery kinetics is not a magic trick. It is the slow, deliberate accumulation of power through the refusal to give up. Gong Fu is the recognition that every minute you spend in the struggle is a minute spent building a version of yourself that the world cannot break. If you are feeling the weight of the work today, remember, you aren't being crushed, you're being forged. If you are ready to master your own kinetics, leave a comment with the words time and work to show you understand the path. Stay disciplined, stay deep. This is Hypothetics. You're exhausted by the constant ping. You're tired of the notifications, the endless stream of opinions, and the digital clutter that follows you from the moment you wake up until the second you close your eyes. You feel anxious because you've been told that if you aren't on, you're falling behind. You feel like you're drowning because the world has convinced you that every empty second is a wasted second. But what if I told you that this emptiness, this silence you've been running from, is actually the source of your greatest strength? In modern life, we obsess over the solid. We focus on the things we can touch, the words we can say, and the tasks we can complete. But in ancient Japan, the masters looked at the world differently. They understood a concept called ma, jian. Ma is not just nothingness. It is the intentional space between. It is the silence that makes a song beautiful. It is the gap in a doorway that makes a room functional. It is the pause between breaths that keeps you alive. Without the void, the structure of your life has no meaning. We have become a civilization of structures with no space to breathe, and that is why we are breaking. To master your life, you must first master the void. As the wisdom of the masters teaches us, the world is drowning in noise because people are afraid of what they'll hear in the silence. Practice the art of Ma, the intentional void. In the gap between your thoughts and your reactions lies your freedom. If you cannot master the silence, the world will always own your tongue. True power isn't the loudest voice. It's the stillness that remains when everyone else is shouting. If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like the noise is closing in, or if you feel like you've lost your own voice in the static, welcome. You aren't failing. You've just forgotten how to use the space. You are currently learning the architecture of the soul. Welcome back to Hypothetics. Today, we stop shouting and start listening to the gap. This is Silence Poetics. The 20 quotes of Silence Poetics. Quote 1. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu. In a world that equates volume with authority, we forget that the loudest person in the room is often the most insecure. Silence isn't a lack of something, it is a reservoir. By refusing to fill every second with speech, you retain your energy and your mystery. Strength isn't found in the blast, it's found in the mountain that absorbs it. Quote 2. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. Confucius. Your words can be twisted, used against you, or misinterpreted by the noise of others. But silence is loyal. It keeps your secrets and protects your peace. When you practice Ma, you create a sanctuary where the world's opinions cannot reach you. Loyalty to yourself begins with the refusal to over-explain. Quote 3. The more you say, the less people remember. The fewer the words, the greater the profit. Fenelon. We live in an era of content where everyone is talking, but no one is saying anything. True Ma is the realization that your impact is inversely proportional to your noise. When you speak less, your words carry the weight of a hammer rather than the annoyance of a fly. Quote 4. Be silent, or let thy words be worth more than silence. Pythagoras. Most people speak just to kill the awkward quiet. But the quiet isn't awkward, it's honest. If what you have to say doesn't improve the stillness, you are simply adding to the pollution. Mastery is having the discipline to let the silence stand until you have something truly transformative to offer. Quote 5. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Lao Tzu wisdom is a quiet internal state. The constant need to broadcast your knowledge is a sign that you haven't truly integrated it. Ma is the gap between knowing something and needing the world to know you know it. True power is the quiet confidence of a master who has nothing to prove. Quote 6. Silence is the element in which great things fashion themselves together. Thomas Carlyle, referencing ancient Stoic principles. Nothing of value is built in a crowd. Your ideas, your character, and your resilience are forged in the intentional void. If you are constantly surrounded by the noise of other people's lives, you will never have the space to build your own. You must retreat into the gap to create anything that lasts. Quote 7. The fish trap exists because of the fish. Once you've gotten the fish, you can forget the trap. Words exist because of meaning. Once you've gotten the meaning, you can forget the words. Zhuangzi. We often get stuck in the trap, the notifications, the arguments, the labels, but the Ma is the meaning itself. Don't fall in love with the noise of the process. Learn to let go of the noise once its purpose is served, leaving only the clarity of the result. Quote 8. Silence is a lesson learned through the many sufferings of life. Seneca. The younger, more chaotic version of yourself wanted to scream at every injustice. But the version of you that has survived the fire knows that silence is the ultimate weapon of the resilient. It is the ability to suffer or succeed without the need for an audience. It is the mark of a soul that has become its own anchor. Quote 9. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Ancient proverb style. Silence can be a shield, but it can also be a presence. In the context of Ma, your presence in the silence is more powerful than any motivational speech. Being the person who can sit in the void without flinching makes you a pillar for everyone else who is drowning in the noise. Quote 10. Between one breath and the next is where the battle is won. Miyamoto Musashi. Even in the heat of combat, the master finds the Ma. The gap is the moment of total awareness before the strike. If you react instantly to every digital ping or social slight, you have already lost. The win happens in the pause where you decide not to react, but to act with precision. Quote 11. The void is not empty, it is full of potential. Zen proverb. We fear silence because we think it's a vacuum, but in the art of Ma, the empty space on the canvas is what makes the ink visible. Your empty time, the time without your phone, without music, without talk, is the only time your brain has to actually grow. The void is where your next version is waiting to be born. Quote 12. Dogs bark at what they do not understand. Heraclitus noise is often just a mask for ignorance. When people shout at you or the world screams with outrage, remember that it is a sign of their own confusion. By remaining in the silence, you distance yourself from the pack. You don't need to understand the noise. You just need to outlast it. Quote 13. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. Patanjali. The fluctuations are the notifications of the soul, the constant what-ifs and should-haves. Silence poetics is the practice of shutting down the internal noise until only the I am remains. When the mind is still, the path becomes visible. Quote 14. He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. Epicurus. Modern noise is a form of gluttony. We consume information because we are afraid of the hunger that comes with silence. But if you can be satisfied in the quiet of a room with nothing but your thoughts, you have achieved a level of freedom that no billionaire can buy. Quote 15. Silence is the language of the soul. Ancient Egyptian proverb. Your soul doesn't speak in English or Japanese, it speaks in resonance. When you drown your life in digital chatter, you're essentially muting your own spirit. To hear your own intuition, you must turn down the volume of the world. Quote 16. A word is worth a coin, but silence is worth two. Ancient Hebrew proverb. We live in a free speech world where words are cheap. Because they are cheap, they are often worthless. Silence is the currency of the wise because it is rare. By practicing Ma, you are increasing your own value in a market saturated with cheap noise. Quote 17. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. Tacitus. In the same way, the more chaotic the mind, the more rules and hacks It needs to survive. A master doesn't need 1,000 productivity tips. They need the silence to do the work. The more you simplify the noise, the more natural your power becomes. Quote 18. To be silent is but a small thing, but what silence can accomplish is great. Sophocles. Don't underestimate the power of not doing. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to refuse to participate in the chaos. By holding the gap, you allow the dust of the world to settle, revealing the truth that was hidden beneath the commotion. Quote 19. The sun is silent, but its light speaks for it. Ancient proverb. You don't need to announce your progress. You don't need to post your wins. If you are actually becoming a master, the results will shine through the silence of your life. Let your light, your work, your character, your presence be the only testimony you need. Quote 20. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes, and the grass grows by itself. Zen teaching. This is the ultimate secret of Ma. We think we have to force everything. We think we have to shout at the world to make it move. But the most powerful forces in the universe, growth, time, and gravity, all work in total silence. Master the quiet, and you master the world. Silence poetics is not about being passive. It is about being intentional. It is the recognition that every minute you spend in the void is a minute spent reclaiming your soul from a world that wants to sell it back to you in pieces. If the noise has felt too heavy lately, remember, the space between the notes is what makes the music. You aren't losing time. You are finding your depth. If you are ready to master the void, leave a comment with the word M.A. to show you are reclaiming your silence. Stay disciplined. Stay still. This is Hypothetics. You're exhausted by the hunt. You've been told that if you just get that promotion, buy that car, or hit that follower count, you'll finally arrive. You've spent your life chasing the next high, the next like, and the next temporary thrill, only to find that the hit wears off faster every time. You feel hollow because you are trapped on the hedonic treadmill. You're running at full speed toward a version of happiness that doesn't exist. You've been taught to believe that life is about accumulating feelings, but feelings are like smoke. They vanish the moment you try to grab them. Over 2,000 years ago, Aristotle looked at the same emptiness and gave us a way out. He didn't care about your happiness. He cared about your eudaimonia. Often translated as flourishing, eudaimonia isn't a mood, it's a state of being. It is the realization that a human being has a function, just like a knife has a function to cut or a seed has a function to grow. If you aren't fulfilling your function, if you aren't striving for excellence, no amount of pleasure will ever be enough to fill the void. The world has lied to you about what a good life looks like. It told you that success is about what you consume. The ancients knew it is about what you produce and who you become. As the wisdom suggests, you feel empty because you are chasing a feeling instead of a function. Aristotle taught that eudaimonia isn't something you find, it's something you build through discipline. Stop asking, what makes me happy? And start asking, what makes me excellent? Success is a byproduct of who you become, not what you consume. If you are tired of the cheap thrills, If you are bored of the hacks, and if you are ready to stop chasing and start building, welcome. You aren't failing. You've just been using the wrong compass. Welcome back to Hypothetics. Today, we step off the treadmill and into the arena. This is Virtue Ethics, the 20 quotes of virtue ethics. Quote 1. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. You are waiting for a lightning bolt of motivation to strike so you can finally change your life. You think greatness is a singular event or a lucky break? It isn't. Excellence is the compound interest of your daily choices. If your habits are mediocre, your life will be mediocre. Eudaimonia is found in the boring repetition of doing the right thing until it becomes your nature. Quote 2. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. The modern world is obsessed with virtue signaling, talking about ethics while living in chaos. We debate, we comment, and we post, but we rarely act. Virtue. Ethics isn't a theory, it's a performance. Stop trying to define excellence and start embodying it. Your character is built in the moments when no one is watching and there is no like button to press. Quote 3. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus. Most people are drifting because they have never sat down to define their function. They let the algorithm decide their desires. To reach eudaimonia, you must first architect your own soul. Decide what kind of pillar you want to be in this world, and then let every action be a brick in that foundation. If your actions don't match your words, you aren't living, you're just pretending. Quote 4. Happiness belongs to the self-sufficient. Aristotle. If your fulfillment depends on the praise of others or the accumulation of things, you are a slave. True flourishing, eudaimonia, is an internal fortress. When you find your value in your own character and your own competence, the world loses its power to hurt you. Self-sufficiency isn't about being alone, it's about being the primary source of your own light. Quote 5. The first and greatest victory is to conquer oneself. Plato. The hedonic treadmill is fueled by an inability to say no to your impulses. You think you're free because you can do whatever you want. But if you can't control your own cravings, you're just a well-fed prisoner. Virtue is the discipline to master the beast inside. Until you win the war within, you will always be a casualty of the world outside. Quote 6. Virtue is the only good. Seneca. We chase money, status, and pleasure, thinking they will protect us. But you can lose your money in a day and your status in a second. The only thing that cannot be taken from you is your virtue. It is the only good that is truly yours. When you prioritize character over comfort, you become invincible because your wealth is carried inside your chest, not in your bank account. Quote 7. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to every digital ping and social pressure. They are existing, but they aren't living. Examination is the scalpel that cuts away the fluff. You must look at your life with brutal honesty and ask, am I becoming excellent, or am I just getting through the day? Without reflection, there is no growth. Without growth, there is no eudaimonia. Quote 8. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Seneca. We have been conditioned to see struggle as a bug in the system. We want everything to be easy, but excellence is a muscle that only grows under tension. The uncomfortable parts of your life are actually the training grounds for your soul. You don't get to eudaimonia by avoiding the storm. You get there by becoming the kind of person who can sail through it. Quote 9. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Seneca. The treadmill never ends because more is a moving target. If you are chasing a feeling of enough, you will never find it in consumption. Poverty isn't a lack of possessions, it's a lack of boundaries. Virtue teaches you that excellence is the only thing that actually satisfies the hunger of the human spirit. Quote 10. The superior man is distressed by the limitations of his ability. He is not distressed by his lack of recognition. Confucius' modern culture is obsessed with being seen. We want the reward without the work. But the person pursuing eudaimonia is only worried about their own function. Are you a sharp blade or a dull one? If you are dull, the applause of the world won't make you cut any better. Focus on the quality of the strike, not the noise of the crowd. Quote 11. A man's character is his guardian divinity. Heraclitus. You don't need luck, and you don't need hacks. You need a character so solid that it dictates your path. Your destiny is just the long-term result of who you choose to be today. If you act with virtue, your life will eventually align with excellence. You are the architect of your own fate, and your character is the blueprint. Quote 12. The goal of life is to live in agreement with nature. Zeno of Citium. Nature didn't design you to sit in a dark room scrolling through a feed of strangers. You were designed for purpose, for reason, and for contribution. Living in agreement means fulfilling your human potential. When you fight against your nature by being lazy or impulsive, you feel the friction as anxiety. When you align with excellence, the friction disappears. Quote 13. No man is free who cannot command himself. Pythagoras. True freedom isn't the absence of rules, it's the presence of self-governance. If you can't make yourself get out of bed, do the work, or speak the truth, you aren't a free agent. You are a puppet of your own biology. Virtue ethics is the process of taking the strings back and becoming the commander of your own life. Quote 14. He who has overcome his fears will truly be free. Aristotle. Fear is the greatest obstacle to excellence. We fear failure, we fear judgment, and we fear the discomfort of change. But eudaimonia is only found on the other side of that fear. By practicing courage, the midpoint between cowardice and recklessness, you reclaim the territory that fear has stolen from you. Quote 15. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. If you feed your mind junk, cheap entertainment, petty drama, and constant comparison, your soul will become cheap and petty. You cannot live an excellent life with a cluttered mind. Virtue is the filter. It is the intentional choice to dwell on what is true, what is honorable, and what is functional. Quote 16, virtue is its own reward. Cicero, if you are doing the right thing just to get a result, you aren't virtuous. You're just transactional. The reward of being a person of integrity is simply the fact that you are a person of integrity. You sleep better, you stand taller, you respect the person in the mirror. Eudaimonia is the peace that comes from knowing you didn't sell your soul for a shortcut. Quote 17, character is destiny. Heraclitus people look at their lives and blame bad luck or the system. While those things exist, they are secondary. Over a long enough timeline, your character will always determine your destination. If you build a character of excellence, you are essentially rigging the game of life in your favor. Quote 18, to live well is the same thing as to live honorably. Musonius Rufus, we try to separate success from honor. We think we can lie our way to the top and then enjoy the view. But the ancients knew that a life without honor is a life of chronic internal rot. You cannot live well if you hate the person you've become to get there. Honor is the foundation of the only success that lasts. Quote 19, he who is brave is free. Seneca, bravery isn't just for the battlefield. It's the bravery to be honest when it's hard, the bravery to be disciplined when you're tired, and the bravery to seek excellence when everyone else is settling for average. This bravery is the only path to true psychological freedom. Quote 20, happiness is the settling of the soul into its most appropriate spot. Aristotle, imagine a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. That is eudaimonia. It is the moment when your actions, your values, and your function all align. You aren't chasing a feeling anymore because you have arrived at your function. You are finally exactly where you are meant to be, in the pursuit of the highest version of yourself. Virtue ethics is not a set of rules to restrict you. It is a set of tools to liberate you. It is the recognition that the emptiness you feel isn't a problem to be solved with more stuff. It's a signal that your soul is hungry for excellence. If you've been running on the treadmill and getting nowhere, it's time to step off. Stop asking what the world can give you and start asking what kind of person you're going to become. If you are ready to stop chasing feelings and start building your function, leave a comment with the word excellence to show you're ready to flourish. Stay disciplined. Stay virtuous. This is Hypothetics.